Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me this evening. Um, Again, always gratitude for joining me. I love doing the live streaming thing. I love being with you guys every evening. It's the highlight of my day. So, man, thank you guys for joining along. I already have people commenting on LinkedIn. Matthew Perkins, my friend, thank you, brother, for coming along. And yes, we're rocking it this evening. So before we start getting into my guest this evening, let's go ahead and get all the particulars out of the way like we usually do. So guys, if this is your first time watching this show, we are streaming live on multiple platforms. So you can see us live on our YouTube channel. So if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, or go to YouTube if you want. Go to YouTube. You can watch it live there. Do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. We are trying to build our viewership there. And hit the notification button. It'll let you know whenever we're doing a live stream comes on or when new video content is uploaded. And again, it'll be there, and you can drop comments in there. We can interact, and I usually respond back if it's after the show. But if it's during the show, I'll try to pull up the comments while it's live. So check us out there on YouTube, and that is at Made From Scratch Broadcast there on YouTube. We're also streaming live on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook page of the same name, Made From Scratch Broadcast, there we're streaming live as well. Drop your comments there. We can pull them up and interact. And again, I like to share those on the screen and keep people engaged in the show. So check us out on Facebook. We also are on Twitter via Periscope. So we are streaming live there as well. Drop your comments there, and we're live there, and you can follow along on Twitter at MFSB Live on Twitter. So check us out there. And then we're also streaming live via LinkedIn. So if you go and follow me at Gabriel E. Leal on LinkedIn, and send me a personal message, you'll see the stream whenever I come on live. So we do it here 5 nights a week, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So follow along on LinkedIn, guys. Drop in the comments. I like to pull it in. Again, David Mumford's commenting already. So appreciate you, David. And then finally, go to our website, right? So we're streaming live on our website, and that's at www.madefromscratch.podcast. There you can find links to our podcasts that we do there. We do take the audio here and upload it into a podcast form, so you can go check out past episodes there. You can also see past episodes of the show. There's links there. You can watch it there. We also stream the show live on our website, so you can check it out there. And then we also have our radio station, and I do play past episodes live throughout the day on the radio station, and that is at MFSB Live as well. So I'm having a website built for that, and I'm going to start sharing that out there as well. So, we got all our basics covered, everybody. So thank you, everybody, for coming along. So this evening's guest, right, she is the rock star career transformation coach, and she's a sought-after keynote speaker, career success life coach who, lives a laptop life form over from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Wayne, New Jersey. As a top work-from-home expert, she founded her virtual company in 1988 and did her master's thesis on best practices for virtual teams in 2000, 2001, before 9/11 made it a hot topic then. So she leverages her unorthodox corporate agency and virtual team leadership experience as she empowers professionals and teams to rock your career, so without losing your soul or losing your mind. So guys, let's do a big favor and welcome Pat Roque to the show. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
How are you doing, Pat?
I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I love having you here. So, that was one of the best things that I've been able to have the ability to do is reach out to people like yourself on LinkedIn who go out there and, kind of rock themselves like you do on LinkedIn and share your articles. You do, there's a lot of engaging stuff and a lot of content that you share that again, people enjoy, people see value in it. I think that's, one of the people that we have in common that we both know, Annie Lieb, is she. I see her commenting on your stuff all the time, so I know if she's commenting on it, it's pretty good. And so I try to keep that going all the time. So let's go ahead and get started with you a little bit and talk about how you got started in your coaching career. So you've been coaching career-driven professionals and teams for decades. How did you actually get started in creating your coaching and tailoring that to teach teams and professionals how to actually handle things? And we'll talk about what it means going into this pandemic a little bit.
Sure. So thank you for asking, and thank you for having me. It's funny, I started my company in 1988. So I was obviously in diapers. I was just a little girl. Hey, this weekend I have my 28th wedding anniversary. So again, child bride.
Hey, congratulations. So that's a big
I know you'll be stuck with me for life, Gabriel. This is what happens. I collect people for a really long time.
I love being with people that long. I've been with my wife for 22 years, so I'm a hanger on as well. So once I hang on to you, I'll try to be there for life.
Yeah. So we plan and God laughs. And sometimes you choose career pivots and sometimes they're chosen for you. So the first time I was a hotshot young agency executive working in a big PR firm, running these global brands and global plans. And I put my head through a windshield on a sunny Saturday afternoon, Thanksgiving shopping trip, 35 miles an hour. Wow. Really benign moment, but it changed the rest of my life. And my boss knew I wasn't well enough to go back to work because I had a bad concussion and said, hang a shingle, kid, I'll throw you business.
Okay.
Little did we know.
Yeah. Right. Those.
I paid my mortgage for about 8 years. It was amazing. So having not just a mentor, but having a sponsor, an activator, a champion, somebody who's not just going to give you a little piece of advice, but who's going to actually take you by the shoulders and help you march forward. Yeah. Every now and then we need that. So lesson 1, find your champions, because that was the first pivot. So I get engaged, I get married, I have 2 kids. I'm working from home for 32 years also. And my husband and I did our master's degrees together at age 40 at Thomas Edison University, which is an online school. And our thesis was on best practices for virtual teams, because I could have never done my master's if I had to get up and leave my 2 young children and my dog and the whole, running the business and go sit in a classroom. That was never going to happen. Yeah. So I've always believed in the remote workforce. We published in spring of 2001. Obviously, September 11th rolled around the corner and I just jumped into action. I already knew what to do because it was all about helping individuals feel safe and feel confident in the most uncomfortable and unconfident types of moments when you're standing on quicksand.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's ahead of you. And so helping companies get organized, because at that point, they were suddenly displaced workers. That's what everybody was thinking, because the buildings literally blew up. The city shut down, the buildings blew up. So people physically lost lives, lost their space. And so, but the rest of the country was scared because of the Pentagon and everything else, but they still were physically moving around. They weren't housebound the way we are or have been for weeks and weeks and weeks. I helped companies and individuals through the 2008, 2009 recession, and now this. And it's funny because it's not funny, funny, but this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And what I've learned from living through this multiple times is that the people who step forward and shine that light and serve as a beacon for others will come out the other side of this so much better, and the people around them will, because what happens? Your family's watching you, your friends are watching, your colleagues, your companions, your prospects. The world is watching, and people are proud when they can actually have a sense of hope and a sense of belonging and a sense of, I will get through this together and here's what we need to do. So someone that's going to take things by the horns, come up with an action plan and help them find what matters most, because prioritization is really crazy right now because we've got everyone we know hunkered down in one. I don't know about you, but I'm in my beach house in Myrtle Beach. We have 4 large adults who are never usually in the same place at the same time living in a condo. From
Yeah.
this big monstrous 2-story house to living in a little tiny condo. So it's about finding our physical space, it's about finding our mental space. And in my world, it's about helping people understand that you have to honor your strength and honor your gifts. And this is a great time to reflect and figure out
Yeah.
what really matters and put a new lens on life, because this is the new normal. We don't know what that next chapter will be, but I promise you, the people that are stepping forward and figuring it out, bravely figuring it out, and being willing to have imperfect starts, being willing to show up not looking gorgeous and perfect and perfectly coiffed hair. Nobody does. It's okay. But we're stepping forward and we're acting like leaders, and we're doing the best we can to keep people calm and keep people motivated and keep people sane as best we possibly can. And
Yes.
that's what I found out my gift is. At 50, I lost my last job and I got a phone call. It all went away in a phone call, just like what's happening now to a lot of people, right? We had lost our funding. Same thing that's happening right now. It's that hero to zero moment.
Yeah.
Life was good. I was, not everybody hates their job. A lot of people love their job,
Yeah.
but you love it a lot more when you suddenly don't have it, and now you have no paycheck and no severance and no vacation. And I didn't have all that economic stimulus, anything.
Yeah. I
I still
can.
don't. I don't have any of that. I'm
Yeah.
either making it float or I'm not.
Yeah.
So it's important to figure out. I did a strength finders test. It's one of the tools I now use in my system. And I figured out that I'm very strategic. I understand how to figure out the best in people. I'm a maximizer. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Um, Individualization means I understand how to take an audience. I could speak to 100,000 people, and I have, but every person in that room feels like I'm there just for you.
Yeah. And
Make
again,
sure everybody walks away with something. And the last one's positivity. My glass is not only half
definitely.
full, but I'm grateful every day for the glass. And so those 5 strengths made me realize that maybe I'm never going to lose my marketing genius and my promotional hat, because it's built in. I just know how to do that. But people were feeling ghosted behind their eyes. I was watching people's eyes and realizing that they really needed more than just building their brand. They needed to build their brand, your brand. There's people waiting for you on the other side. And I'm really good at helping you figure out what that looks like and how to help them.
Yeah. So, and again, you've been through that already one time, and kind of being prepared for this again, it's put things in perspective for you. So seeing this now and going, okay, I already know how to deal with it. There's still people that are still trying to figure out that they had the rug pulled out from under them and going, what the heck do I do now? And
Yeah.
I can understand that it's a scary place to be, because again, nobody saw this coming. Nobody, and of course, what happened in 2001. It did affect people, but not to the extent like it has now, because you could have said, well, there were only certain fields that were kind of
Yeah.
affected, where as opposed to everything, and I mean, everything globally has been affected. So you're talking about financial markets in the United States and China, in
Yeah.
so all this other stuff, it's really changed the way that we, again, how we interact, how we how we change our perspective going forward is changing. How we're going to see things once there is kind of freedom again. I mean, we do have freedoms, but not where, again, you don't have to go outside without a mask. You don't have to talk to people to do these things. So all these things are going to be, but again, I don't ever think it's going to be the same. Where it's going to be changing. And again, what you're talking about business wise as well, right? A lot of businesses are going to see this and go, well, maybe we don't have to have all these people in the same office area to still operate as a business. There's going to be a lot more telecommuters, I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely.
Once we figure out some sort of normal environment again, because eventually there will be. It's just going to take time. Even now, they're reopening different states, are reopening certain parts of what they're doing. So scary concept to me, but how? I mean, how's that going to change the restaurant industry? So I mean, you're not going to be able to go, hey, I need a table for 10 and sit all these people together. So how are you going to keep social distancing and invite these people in? And then you're going to have certain capacities now. So I'm pretty sure a lot of fire codes are going to change, a lot of capacities, a lot of occupancy certificates are going to be changing. These are all just like reactions to everything that's
Everything.
going on that
Everything.
we're not even thinking about yet.
I'm supposed to be an MC at a wedding this weekend in Amalfi, Italy, right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
what? Gosh, and I bet you were looking forward to that.
just a little. 2 weeks in Italy, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I already got people asking questions. So Matthew Perkins was asking. So he says, Pat, what do you think the message of the quarter is? We did the stay-at-home message. We did the hang in there message. What do we start telling people now?
Oh, that is easy. I know. I've been thinking about this and praying over it. I sleep with one eye open sometimes because I get my taps in the middle of the night, it feels like.
Yeah.
This is the period for renewal. It's funny because Monday is National Renewal Day.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I watch those crazy calendars and I thought if ever there was a perfect word right now, because the number one thing we need are connections.
Yeah.
We need to not get lost. Everybody deals with stress differently. True?
Yeah.
So
We do.
what I found is a lot of people are hunkering down and closing in. They're tired, they're exhausted. It's almost where they're more exhausted. They're doing less running around, so they're more exhausted because they're not getting enough fresh air. They're not really moving. They're not having the distraction and the mental break to go from here to here. I've actually now seen people that are complaining that they don't have their lousy 2-hour each way commutes because they didn't realize that they had a decompression
Passion.
chamber
Yes.
for the in
Yeah.
between. So they used to listen to their podcasts or read the Wall Street Journal or whatever they did. And now even that part of their routine has gone away. So everything we bitched about, the things we asked for, in some weird ways have come to pass. We wanted more time with our family. Well, you got it. We wanted less commuting time. You got it.
Got it.
All these things we complained about. But renewal and rocking your connections is the number one thing because
Yeah.
your family needs to know that you're all safe and you need to keep tabs on people and
Yeah.
making them be visible, especially on Zoom and things like this on lives. You can actually see their face and their body language, and you can tell who's got the brave face on and who's really hurting and they need some additional loving on the side. You can see that differently. True?
Yeah.
Then there's the people who are used to being in an office in a team around the water cooler. Well, I do workshops on the virtual water cooler. There's different ways that you're supposed to be connecting with your team. How about with your mentees? I mentor a bunch of college students,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
they're looking for, my niece is graduating, my daughter's graduating medical school with her doctorate in a couple weeks, but there is no graduation. She's not marching. I mean, it's terrible. So how do you help the mentees, those people that you're helping, right? That are at
Yeah.
that early stage saying, I just want to get started. I just took $200,000 of school loans and
Yeah.
now I can't get a job flipping hamburgers, nothing.
Yeah.
So I think the connections part is the number one way that people can keep their wits about them,
Yeah.
because people will make you feel better about yourself or about the world. I'm assuming you hang with the right people,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Because if you're going to hang with Debbie Downers, it's just like in life. I don't know about you, but I'm an empath and it sucks the life right out of me. I need a nap or a
Yes.
shower after I talk to those kinds of people,
Yes. I
right?
know. I know.
So,
I
but making time, making a game plan. I teach a thing called virtual coffee, which is the simple way to use your Google Calendar and a free app to set up 15-minute little chit chats,
yeah.
like about the same amount of time it would take to have a cup of coffee or tea.
Yeah.
And it gives you a chance to touch base, whether they want, like for mine, I set it up and is it a personal hello call? Is it a collaborative brainstorm? Is it, do you want to hire me as a speaker or hire me as a coach? That's probably, I'm going to say, my 4 buckets. You would have different ones. Everybody does. Like your podcast guests
Yeah.
could have that too. And so having a simple way to reach out to people and to touch base and to screen your calls so that you take the priority calls and you're not letting people past boundaries.
Yeah.
That's the
So
other part. But
yeah.
is we don't have boundaries the same way we did. There's nowhere to run and hide. So they're not the same. I mean, I was doing a this is my third podcast today. I was doing one earlier and my husband was helping. Now I'm grateful he was doing it, but he was cleaning up and doing something outside on my patio. And I'm like, right here. But staying connected, renewal
Yes.
and staying connected. That's it. Because what
Yes.
about if you talk to people and you built up your LinkedIn and had another 2 dozen recommendations on your profile this month? How
Yeah.
would that feel?
Yeah, that'd probably be sky high. So
Right?
this is what I kind of do, and I feel that vibe that you're talking about because before I have guests on, I do have a kind of pre-show consultation where we do have a conversation. I
Hmm.
I do want to get to know who I'm going to talk to, of course, and then even afterwards, right? I still reach out to these people because I like building these relationships. So I still send guests who've come on who've I may have not had on for like 3 or 4 weeks now, but I still send them personal messages
Hmm.
via LinkedIn or Facebook, and I just tell them, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope everything's good." Because again, that's the whole point of doing this is making these connections and reaching out and being able to share your stories, your experiences, and bring these on and still highlight you as my guest, but also highlight our relationship as we go forward. Because again, I still like to connect with these people. You just feel it whenever you start talking to somebody, and you go, "Hey, this can go somewhere beyond just being a guest. You can be a friend, somebody, an ear, an associate, whatever it is.
You never know.
You never know. You just keep I just keep those channels open because again, um, I mean, what kind of hypocrite would I be if I would sit here and talk to these kind of people and then once they're gone, that's it. I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
I
No,
know.
I'm not that kind of person. I again like to reach out from time to time, and I see people engaging on social media, and I'll just drop them a comment. Hey, man, how are you doing? What's going on? Tell me what's good. Tell me these good things. Tell me something, or whatever it is, and we just go from there. And
Hmm.
I think what you're talking about is the correct way that we have to keep this
Have
going
to.
forward. And again, um, for some people, it's very difficult to adjust to this time right now. And there's people that are blossoming, if you believe that. I had a friend who's been on my show. She was telling me that her son is blossoming now in school because he had a lot of social problems interacting. He was a real introvert. Um, I guess the emotional side of having to get up and go to school and dealing with all that. Now that it's all gone, right? He's he's acing all his schoolwork. He's knocking it out
That's
easily
great.
because that's no longer there. So he's like, I can,
Right. There's no argument about his pants or his pajama bottoms in the morning, whatever, right? Those
yeah,
things
those
that
things, right?
throw us off for the day.
Yeah. So that's gone, and now it's just
Yeah.
my schoolwork. I get up, I knock my schoolwork. My daughter's getting this way, right? So we used to have to, hey, whenever we would come home, hey, do you got homework? Yes. No. So, and it was like pulling teeth sometimes. But now
Yeah.
she knows that her incentive is to, if she wants to get on her gaming console and to be able to do these things, she gets up and she starts knocking her homework out. And I mean,
There you go.
yeah.
Right?
So she gets those chores and everything else done out of the way. And then I tell her, what do we have to complain about after that?
Oh,
So,
it's how about having dinner or meals with your family?
yeah.
I
And
have
again,
My kids are 23 and 25. So, when's the last time my daughter lives out of state? My son now got his dream job in the middle of all this, right before it got crazy. We
yeah,
were up in the New York market. We were on Good Morning America with the sharks from Shark Tank in an episode called Get the Job. And
yeah.
Barbara Corcoran and Robert Herjavec were talking with us about the challenges of getting a job and should you take any job or wait. And I was on Barbara's side talking about build relationships, just get your foot in the door. And Robert was like, don't listen to your mother. Don't listen to anybody. Do follow your dreams. And he did. And he ended up getting a job as a production assistant at NBC here in Myrtle Beach. So he
Wow.
packed up everything. He moved to the beach house in February, right before it was getting crazy. And working in the news, and I always pictured him working on like Saturday Night Live or something like that, but he loves it. Do you know it's 2 months in? He just got promoted. He's the youngest news director they've ever had. He's 23.
Wow.
He's the news director for the morning show for NBC.
That's amazing. So
Following your dreams. So what he did was, he's an essential worker. He showed up faithfully. He did the right things. He's boiling his clothes and leaving them outside the door and doing all that sanitary, precaution that he needs to.
yeah,
And it's so impressive. It's amazing. But finding a way to thrive in these really tough environments is really cool. And if you're not talking it out with those connections and helping them help you find those little nuggets, those little things you can hang on to. Because
yeah.
personally, I mean, we had a lot of deaths, a lot of deaths in our family. My mother-in-law passed March 3rd, right at the very
Oh
beginning of this too.
wow.
We couldn't go to the funeral. We
Again,
couldn't have,
yeah.
I'm compromised, my mother's compromised, like we couldn't physically go because in those couple days, it was that first few days
You didn't.
when it
Yeah.
got crazy. So
You
we
didn't
we
know.
we didn't get closure from physically going. We had to have the service done without us, and then we'll go do it another, celebration of life another time when we're able. But
Yeah.
you don't even get closure. It's really crazy, but somehow you have to compartmentalize. And I'm not insensitive because, like I said, we've gone through it in my own family too, but have to figure that God's not done with us yet. And there's things
No.
we're supposed to be doing.
Heck
So
no.
I have to kind of go down
So
that road.
yeah, and that's really important, right? So here we are
Mhm.
talking about your son, right? And let's talk about that a little bit because you're talking about career fulfillment, right? So he's chasing his dream, right? He's going to go. So why is that? Why is that so hard? Why is that so elusive for so many people? Finding that.
You know, some people just have ingrained feeling that work is work. So they can compartmentalize their due diligence. They'll work here, they provide for their family here, and then this is the rest of their life where they can enjoy themselves, and they're able to put a separation in between those. I was never good at that. I never believed in it, and if I had a job that I was miserable, I didn't last very long. That's me. I
Yeah,
Same thing when I dated before I got married. I didn't date people and just hang around and have boyfriends that lasted forever. Once I knew I wasn't going to marry him, I was like, you're out, because why? Life is short. Life is short.
yeah,
So you spend more time working. Most of us as adults will spend more time, more waking hours working than much anything else,
yeah,
in the traditional. And I can't even say 9 to 5 because that theory's
yeah.
out the window too.
Too right.
It sounds like a part-time gig, doesn't it? 9 to 5.
Yeah, it does. Nowadays it does.
It's like, you didn't answer your phone. I'm like, I was in the shower.
Right.
Really. I mean,
Yeah,
we're an on society all the time. So I really believe that peeling back the onion, understanding two important things. Well, I believe in mindset, skill set, tool set. Mindset is what matters most.
yeah,
That's where you set your career GPS. It's understanding your non-negotiable priorities. I created this career soul searching assessment. In fact, I'll share it with your audience if anybody wants it.
yeah,
But what matters? What do you want your legacy to be? If you wake up in the morning springing out of bed because you know that you're psyched to go do something, doesn't that count for something? It absolutely does. So that part of it, the whole your strengths, and I use a tool called Strength Finders because it helps you see what you do naturally, almost like breathing. And I promise you that most people overlook. If I asked you your top 5 strengths, I bet you would nail 3. And
yeah,
there's probably 2 that you're so good at you wouldn't remember to name because to you they're just so easy that they're not a strength, they're just something you do well.
yeah. So, and
Right? It's really ironic. And when you take the soul searching and the strength and marry the two together and really sit and look, you can show people where they belong in this world. And here's the thing that's the most freeing sentence I've heard in a long, long time. You're not supposed to be good at everything. Your collective team is supposed to be.
there you
So
go.
we need to forgive ourselves for the things. Sometimes, I mean, I could have ballet lessons every week for my entire life, and I still am a spaz and can barely walk and chew gum and will trip on a bare floor with nothing on it. I will never
Yeah.
be a ballerina. But I was the kid in school. I heard it once. I could be out at the bar in college until 7 a.m. and take an exam at 8 and get an A and be valedictorian. Like, I'm really gifted. God put that in me. I
Hmm.
just know how to use it.
Yeah.
You follow? So, are there things that each of your audience members does? Think about this. There's an easy one to think about. What are the things people thank you for? And you say, "Oh, that was easy, no problem." Because it's so second skin to you. Like, Gabriel, you're so comfortable in this format right now. I'm watching your face and I'm watching your eyes, and you're in your zone.
Yeah.
You are just living it. It's
Yeah.
going,
And it,
right? This is flow for you. I can,
yes,
right? And
this,
I've only spoken with you twice. This is
yes.
flow. I can see it. I can feel it. Everybody in your audience can feel it. And that's why your audience tunes in and will continue to do so. Every person listening out there, I promise, has flow about something or multiple things. And the trick is to stop and pause and pay attention, and to have someone that can help you give perspective,
Hey,
because we don't see it on ourselves. Now, have you ever been in a wedding or a prom? Any of those like moments, and I'm going to say it for the women because I know for me, the moment with the dress.
yeah.
When we're speaking with a woman who's stuck like that, I'll use this example. I'll say, when you tried on the dress, you're usually on a pedestal. There's all mirrors here, but somebody you love is 20 feet behind you telling you if your butt looks big. Because you just can't see certain things.
Yes.
You can't see
That,
it. When
yes.
it's on you, you can't see it.
That's a
Isn't
great
that funny?
perspective. That's a
It
great
is the
perspective.
simplest, it's the simplest little analogy, but it's so true. So having people in your circle to help you, so take all that thought-provoking reflection. Remember what I
Yeah.
said about renewal?
Yes.
It's about stopping and pausing and saying, what's been really good about this terrible situation? What have I learned about myself? Where do I find myself really thriving? I'm finding people who are really good on video who never thought they would be. And I'm finding people who thought they were very good speakers or leaders, and then they realized that this was a nightmare for them. And we're having to really help walk them through and give them bravery, because even in, like, I run a mastermind, my group coaching, I have a 90-day sprint, which is awesome, in a mastermind. So I put people on Zoom a lot, because not because I want them on Zoom. I want them on Zoom because I want them to learn how to be comfortable and to literally shine the light,
Yeah.
right? And to get comfortable hearing their voice and seeing themselves, because most people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I look ugly. My nose is too big. My this, my that. There's always something, because we nitpick about ourselves. But when they come on, like I did a 2-week tithing career coaching corner, I just showed up every day at 2 o'clock for 2 weeks straight for an
Yeah.
hour. And I did a 10-minute tip, and then I just opened the floor and I let people talk or ask questions. If you had genius to share, you could share your advice. If you needed a hug, a virtual hug, we'd help you through whatever. But I did it because I wanted people to show up, turn their camera on, and be seen, stop being invisible. And we
Yes.
got them to find comfort. And what happened is, we already have some, that was only last 2 weeks ago, we already had somebody who's already started her new job that she got as a result of being comfortable being interviewed,
Yeah.
being in
So
this environment.
yes. So
So
you learn these things, right?
it's little,
It's again.
those little moments.
So like what you're describing is pretty much describing my journey, um, doing video here. So again, same sort of deal. Uncomfortable, felt weird, felt awkward, didn't like the camera, and yet here I am 2 months later hosting my own freaking show, and I feel like, again, like you said, this is my zone. I feel comfortable in this. This is the part of the day where I get to go, man, I'm on, baby. Let's do it. Let's get it on. Let's rock. I love this part of doing the process of having these conversations and sharing these sort of things. And you're hitting like all the points that I love to hit on. Talking about legacy, that I ask every guest that I have on about a legacy,
Mm-hmm.
and here we're talking about it because again, it plays into how you're defining everything, how everything you're mapping out. So that's what I usually ask them is, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for? What is the one thing, again, And again, here we are, and we're talking about death as well, right? You're not being crass about it. You're not being
No.
hard about it. I'm just saying
I
that
lost
there's,
my godmother. My mother lost her best man from her wedding. I feel like a whole generation almost got wiped out.
yeah,
Really
but
frightening.
but I say there's beauty in death. I
Hmm.
find I find beauty in death because again, it's part of the whole circle. It's a part of the
Right.
whole journey. You cannot have a book start and not have a finish. So it's the same sort of deal with life. You're born to die. Literally, that's what you do. And you know that that's going to be part of the circle of it. But the thing is, what you build while you're doing it, and then in death, being able to have the ability to celebrate that person's life. And that's where I find the beauty
Hmm.
in death, is being able to highlight all these wonderful things these people have done, and the impact and things that they've touched on people's lives. So that's why
Hmm.
I love bringing that question to the forefront when I ask somebody, hey,
Yeah. You know, it's funny you're saying that. My father passed 20 years ago, which is crazy that it's that long ago, but he had 600 people at his funeral. 600. And the odd part is we had a really bad flood and our funeral home, relatives owned it, and the funeral home wiped out. The funeral home flooded. So we had to borrow.
another,
We had to
yeah,
borrow a funeral
you
home because we
know,
didn't have one. And literally 600 people not only had to come, but they had to find us because we weren't even where everybody knew we would be.
yeah,
Um, and I sat and I watched people one after the next, after the next, after the next, and just watched what they said. And all they talked about was how he always would do everything for everybody. He was really gifted. Like he ran the Bergen County court system. He was in the Army, a police officer, and then went into county government. And he used to take all the young lawyers and tell them that should never look empty-handed or not busy. And he'd give them, he had a whole box of manila envelopes, those folders, and he'd make it stick them under their arms so they looked busy, so they'd be walking like they had a purpose. And he could teach them how to put their appearance and how to show up and how to navigate. And now those guys are
wow,
judges. The little young lawyers are judges themselves and things like
yeah,
that. It's really funny, but just watching the legacy happen. And so when I lost my last job, it was like I first for 2 years I interviewed for the same job I had, mind you, because
yeah,
that's what we do,
yeah,
right?
of course.
I
We
cried
go,
because I was in
yeah,
menopause. Yeah, that was ugly, but that's what you do. Your instinct is to go do more of the same. And what's the definition of insanity?
doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different
Expecting a
result.
different outcome.
Mm,
And I stopped and I reflected and realized what was not going well and why was I not happy. I was making buckets of money, but I kept tasting vomit at the back of my throat. Every day I had to get on the bus to go in the city. I literally could have thrown up. It was awful. Why? And it's not just being car sick. It's not motion sickness alone. It's the whole beyond that. So that's when I started realizing that this whole career coaching thing, I went to my circle and I asked them, "Who am I? How have I helped you? Why do you love me?" And they're like, "You're the best coach I ever met." And I'm like, "I'm not a coach." "Oh, yes, you are. Remember when you did?" And they started telling me. So even me, this is what I help other people do. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. So my point is, for people that are feeling like this is a weird moment and I don't know what's next, it's a great, great time to stop and do some reflecting, to pay attention to the parts of you that you're finding that are really good at certain things, to the parts of you that you're finding this is not my bailiwick. Because you know what? If you're not really good elementary school teacher and helping your kids is really hard for you, that's okay because the teacher's coming back,
yeah,
right? So
yes,
you'll be grateful for the teacher.
yes,
You
right,
follow me? You're not supposed to be good at all the things. You're supposed to find your sweet spot and
that's
play
right,
there. And you're supposed to see your blind spots
yeah,
and learn that those are the things you either are going to avoid or delegate,
yes,
right?
learn it,
Don't try to kill yourself trying to make every blind spot fix. Don't fix things all the time. We can't keep fixing ourselves to a point of exhaustion. It's too
no,
hard. Why do I have to fix that if I can go hire somebody else to do it? Like, it
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. The world needs all of us good at our respective piece of the pie,
yes,
and together it works.
yes.
That's right.
And then again, that's kind of like, gosh, I can always hear my grandfather saying, a genius at the wrong job is fairly average, right? So you, he was that sort of guy, same sort of guy, right?
Really
He
nailed it.
World War II veteran,
Yeah.
got out of the war, started his own business, went it and built it, and it's still a business is still running now in my family. It's been for 70 years,
Wow.
but that's impact,
What
right?
kind of business?
So it is a wholesale Mexican. They sell Mexican products to like restaurants, wholesale
Oh,
that sort
great.
of thing. So, but he started doing that. They started doing this back in 1950. So here it is, 2020, 70 years later, still in business, still
God
out there
bless.
doing these things, and still, again, kind of same sort of deal. So, like kind of like your father, they made that impact that went. The impact wasn't didn't. That's what I tell people about impact. It doesn't have to be immediate. So, if you do it, something like telling these young lawyers, look busy, look this. Now these guys are judges where they're sitting here
Crazy.
making these decisions and doing these things all because of something that happened 20 years ago,
Yeah,
30 years ago.
absolutely.
Impact doesn't have to go right this again. So, like going to YouTube, right? Here's an example: going to YouTube and finding inspirational videos, or finding guys like Earl Nightingale who've been passed off this world a long time, but yet their message can still resonate with somebody. Somebody can turn it
Right.
on, watch a video of his, or listen to the audio of his reading his own book, and it can touch and impact somebody's life right now, even though he's been dead for the last 20 years.
Right. Like turning on It's a Wonderful Life. You could put it on the middle of July, how
Yes,
many years, decades after
it's
it aired,
and
and it'll still bring you back to that,
it can still bring
all
tears
those lessons, right?
to your eye. It can
Yeah.
still bring tears to your eyes. So that's how impactful it is. So impact doesn't have to be immediate. It can be something that can be done over time. So
And the other thing too is that impact, I like what you're saying, but also when you're reaching out and making these connections and doing your networking, you don't have to have a humongous agenda, because what I always start with is just to ask someone, how can I help you now?
yes, that simple.
It's not verbal vomit, pitching at them. Hey, it's about me, blah, blah, blah. That's not it. I got on
Exactly.
Good Morning America. I was at a media event, and a friend connected me, then someone connected, and it was the connections, and so on and so on. And these young kids were standing there, and I was just about to go back to my room. We were end of a long day, and I was tired. And I said, nope, I'm going to be here till 9 o'clock. I'm staying till 9 o'clock. That's fine. And this young guy walks up to me, and I said, hi, my name's Pat. How can I help you now? And he said, you're not going to believe this, but I have to find a parent of a kid who's graduating college, who doesn't have a job yet, blah, blah. And I looked and I thought it was going to be an Ashton Kutcher moment, like I was being punked for sure. And I'm like, what did you just say? And it's like, I'm looking for a parent and he repeated exactly what he said. It was legit. And it was my friend Gerald Fernando, who was the producer at the time for Good
Yeah.
Morning America. And he pulls out his phone. He's like, you have a picture of your son? And I was on 3 days. We were on 3 days later. It's crazy. And now
Well,
he's a very good friend and client also. So it's all about not this at people, even as an interview guest. You don't want guests that just sit there and yap about them. It's not about me. It's about, what does your audience need to hear?
yeah,
Because every person sitting out there right now should walk away thinking, oh, that was good. I'm going to use
yeah.
that, or I should do that, or I can do that. We want to make sure we touch everybody who's out there and let them take it in and let them go apply it. Give them easy, simple nuggets, things that they can appreciate. You asked me what my legacy, right? What's our legacy?
What's their legacy? Yes.
I want the whole world to know why they rock. When I turned 50, right at that meltdown, can you see this?
Yeah.
My best friend
Let me.
dug in the snow. My birthday was in March, and she took a bunch of rocks and she painted them gold. These are them. And she put 50 things, a box of rocks with 50 things that are special about me. And the box said, 50 rocks, and so do you.
Oh wow, what a
And
message.
I was sobbing. I was already menopausal. I was sobbing my eyes out. And I was taking medication to antidepressants to feel better through all the menopause and the firing, and I had suicidal thoughts, and I said one day I should just throw myself off a bridge and no one would care.
Yeah. You,
True story. And this box of rocks saved my life because I started taking them out and I started thinking about them. And I'd hold them in my hands and I'd just think, wow, she took all that time. She could have bought me a sweater from Macy's. It would have been a lot faster and a lot cheaper, right? And so I would blog on LinkedIn one rock at a time. What does it mean to be generous? What does it mean to be supportive? I mean, one rock says bitchy, one says weird. Like they are literally all the different things. But why do you rock? What's important? What is the impression you're leaving with the world? And so my whole Rock on Success brand came from a box of rocks. It came from my hitting rock bottom. And
Wow.
now my father's name was Rocky. My father-in-law's name was Rocky. My son's middle name is Rocky. My married name is what? Roque. Guess what that
Okay.
means in Spanish? Rock. My favorite movie, 1976 Best Picture, Rocky.
Rocky.
And when this box of rocks showed up, my brand was born. So I haven't had this brand for my company's called Business Boomers. I'm a marketing expert for entrepreneurial baby boomers and boomer business leaders, right?
Yeah.
But this rock thing just fell out of the sky, but I needed perspective. So my gift now is helping other people get perspective to find why you rock.
Yeah.
What's your purpose? Why do you rock? Why does the world need you? Because it's your obligation to show up.
And isn't it wonderful that the universe aligns all these things so perfectly, even at the lowest point when you have no inclination of wanting to
Mm-mm.
pursue anything like you're doing now. And guess what? They drop it right at your feet, right at the doorstep. And that's the beauty of life. That's what I tell everybody. Don't look, it can be difficult sometimes to just live, right? It is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I had a hard time
it,
getting out of bed. I one foot in front of the other. You'd say the sun is shining and I'd say no, it's cloudy. Like it just I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it for a
yeah,
little while.
and you needed that, right? You needed that one person back behind you say, "Hey, your butt's big." Um,
Yeah.
you
Perspective.
if and it's
Perspective.
yes, and again, that's the whole. It's part of the purpose of why I consistently do what I do every single day is because again, I need to impact one person.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Every day. That's the goal. If I can make one person's day every single day, I know that I've made impact that way. So here it
Mm-hmm.
is. Look, we got tons of people commenting over here on LinkedIn. I mean, I got Matt Perkins asking. I got Steve Sullivan's here. Kenneth Dunner, thank you. Gosh,
Awesome.
there's so many people, and they're commenting, asking questions. So gosh,
That's great.
I love the fact that again, this is making impact. This is making uh, this is making the world a better place because I can reach out to somebody in India who I've never met, who've never seen me, knows who nothing about me, and
Mm-hmm.
yet I can bring, like I've heard this said before, the world is your neighborhood. You can literally share just about anything with everybody. So your message is just as important. Your
Mm-hmm.
message, getting it out there, somebody's going to find it somewhere, and they're going to find value in it. They're going to be, man, those box of rocks. Um,
I mean, I travel around the world with the box of rocks. It's heavy.
yeah, I can imagine, but they have their weight more than gold. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that much. Um,
Absolutely. And as
uh,
do all the people we meet along the way. I'm grateful for our new friendship. I'm glad this is just the beginning.
yes, and again, a lot of the here it is. Look, I tell people this is the fun part about what we're doing and what we're talking about, right? Yes, I go through the process of uh, building questions and saying I'm going to build a format and that sort of thing. But then you get these natural conversations like we're having now that just flow because that's how life actually works. Yeah, you can have structure, but see what structure is happening right now. How structure applying to our environment right now? It's not working. Everything's off the board. Everything's changing. We had structure in place where you could leave a restaurant with alcohol in your hands. Now they're selling it to go by the gallon. So everything's
It's all ass backwards. Everything is backwards.
so how has structure worked? It's not.
Yeah.
It's what it is being able to, like you said, pivot, adapt to change, do
Hmm.
these things. I always tell people have a have an active role in change and people, it's like, what does that mean? Well, that means if you see things in life that you already, and you can feel it, you know
Yeah.
these things sometimes that, and you've heard people say it, you know what, I should be walking every day. I mean, well, go out and walk, or start,
Mhm.
or at least compile a way to maybe do some kind of physical activity without going overboard. Reach out to folks who are, again, here we are now, a lot of personal trainers at home. I'm sure they're not doing a lot of uh, coaching, personal one-on-one, close up with people, so I'm pretty sure they're doing virtual sort of things. So reach out to one of them. Who knows, but be active and change.
Absolutely.
So the people like yourself, that what you're teaching about working from home and doing this, how big has that been now? How big is that for the people who already put these things in place and know how to work from home and know how to still
That's
do?
exactly it. It's funny. I had a woman who had called me in February, and she was so upset because she had been overlooked for a promotion because she was working remotely for a top, back when we used to call it the big four
Yeah.
firms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was overlooked for a big promotion because she was remote in the Midwest, and it's
Yeah.
a New York area based headquarters.
Yeah.
And I went back to her. I said, "So, who's the smart one now? I hope you're taking all your inventory and going back to them and saying, look, I've been poised. I've been a remote leader all these years. I've got
Yeah.
everything you need. I'm already set. I don't have the frazzle of relocating. I don't have the frazzle of getting adjusted. I'm ready at the deck's run hit to hit the deck running. And what do we need to do? I have another client who works in the real estate market, young guy, awesome, really smart, and was interviewing and had a couple job things, and it didn't quite pan out. But I kept saying, you land where you're meant to land. You know that. And he said, I do. And he believes it. But he got his swagger up. We got his interviewing. He's really progressed. And what he did is he went to the chairman of his company and he said, you know that people have been reaching out to me. I make it a point now and I call X number of people or I message them every day on our team. And I've realized there's a big gap. So many people are not comfortable being remote, especially across the generations. So I'd like to be the head of our remote worker task force
Wow.
because I have this natural inclination. People like me, they trust me, they're reaching out to me there. I've got the answers and I'm reaching out to others proactively. Can I help step up and lead a task force? So he gave himself a title
And isn't that
because
thing?
he was worried like the contracts were starting to dry up because the physical things, the normal things they were doing were starting to dry up, as you can imagine, right? But instead, he had created a title for himself. I've got clients having 2 and 3 interviews a week, this week, last week, next week. I mean, the market is busy. There are changes are happening, things are moving, and the people that are going to sit and bitch and say, there's nothing going on. I see the unemployment. I see all of it. I am not blind to it. I've been on unemployment. I've done all the things. I've been fired. I know all those things. I've walked out with the box in my hand. All of it.
Same
Done
here.
it.
Same here.
Okay?
Yeah.
When somebody says, "Oh, they talked about some paper performance," I go, "Oh, PIP, performance improvement plan. Here's what it means and this is what you have to do to get ready cuz you're done." Right? So, we've I've walked in those shoes, which is why I'm able to help people now. And so just giving them a sense of confidence and a sense of having not only a plan A and a plan B, but maybe a plan J or Q.
Yeah.
They've got to be able to pay more attention because the skill set and the tool set, the things that are of value, and I teach them how to create new, and everybody can steal this idea. You don't need my tool to do it. It's my tool's great, but you don't need it. So you could take a Google sheet or an Excel or a piece of paper and write down on the one column all of your most important accomplishments and quantify them wherever you can. I save this much time, this much money, an improvement. Did you shorten a time to market? Did you help grow a team? Did you win an award? But across the top, you want to check off, is it a leadership win? Is it a financial gain? Was it a process improvement, a quality improvement? And when you have a track record, start today, all of us start today, because how many more years do we have to work? A long time,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Track your quantifiable wins, and then across the top, What boxes does it check? And when you're going in to build a business case to create a new job that doesn't even exist, you have that to start articulating your value. If you're in your employee review, you have that to articulate your value. If you're looking for a new job, you take the language of what they're asking for, you drop it on there, and you can cross-reference and speak in their language. All it is organizing yourself to inventory how you've touched people's lives, where you'd made an impact, because I promise the job half the people watching or doing is not going to be the same job that's in 5 or 10 years, because the jobs we're going to be doing then don't even have names yet.
Yeah. So you're going to be like that young man who took the bull by the horns and said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not only going to not be out without a job, I'm going to create a position for myself. And
Put a
again,
crown on your head. Nobody's going to knock it off. I guarantee. It's really interesting. I know. I just did a landing page for this new program I'm doing, and I just put that graphic on this today, last minute. I said, somebody needs to hear this today. Put the crown on your head. Go right ahead. You
go,
have
right?
to.
You
You
know,
have to.
so
If
again,
you wait for other people to do it, it might not happen. But who's gonna knock it off?
yeah.
I mean,
So
seriously. So do it.
that's
Figure
kind of
out
like
what you're good at and do it.
it's kind of like the title that 10 years ago, social media marketer. I mean, that social media is not what it is now. So, I was a social media marketer back then. I had a guy on who was doing what they essentially call now social media marketing. He was doing it 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, when it didn't even have a title.
Right. I remember when they had to put the word digital in the front. Now you
Yeah,
shouldn't need the word digital because it's all digital.
yeah. So we didn't even have titles back then, and yet here we were doing the same essential jobs. So
Yeah.
somebody somewhere
Inventory.
said, you know what, social media marketer, that's great. That's going to be my title, and boom, it's stuck.
Now there's chief happiness officers and chief experience officers, and there's
There's
all kinds of
those days.
crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
So it's everywhere. So
Yeah, but it's half the fun. You get to reinvent yourself, and that's again this renewal and
yeah.
connections.
So
Over and over and over. That's you asked what the next 90 days and beyond that. If you're going to take anything you're going to invest in, I would invest in connections.
yes,
I think that's the most important inventory. Toilet paper and hand sanitizer, absolutely. But your connections are probably your most valued resource ever. And as you're trying to figure out what's happening, everybody's going to be figuring it out too. So you're not the only idiot sitting there saying, I feel bad about myself because I don't know. Nobody
yeah.
knows. It's
Like, yeah.
okay.
What am I
But
doing?
if we have each other,
Yeah.
you've given me, I just talking to you, oh, look, and Matt, I just got a message connecting LinkedIn from some of your audience. Is that
That's
awesome?
awesome. That's
Bring it on,
awesome.
guys.
So,
Anybody who wants to connect with me, bring it on. I'm
so,
here. I'm game. But
so,
seriously,
yeah.
our investment in each other, our investment in our people real estate, right? I think
Yes.
that is your A game, number one, most valued resource. You can't make it up. You can't buy it. You have to nurture it and love it and watch it grow organically,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
that's
just be grateful for the way your field, are you growing a field full of sunflowers or wildflowers or roses? Is it manicured? Is it cray cray? Who cares? But it's going to be yours.
yeah.
So plant your seeds, nurture it, water it, love it, and just have a little more fun and let your people together, right? That hashtag alone together.
Yeah.
That's it, man. We have to do these things. So let's do it with a smile on our face because, some days you might need the smile and other days you might be the smile. And it's okay. They're both okay.
Yeah.
There's no right and wrong.
There is again, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. So, guys, if you've not connected with Pat, do yourself a favor, get on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
connect with Pat, send her a direct message, tell her I sent you, and just please, I tell everybody when you do this, don't do the auto connect. Write a small little personal message.
Yes. Remind me that you saw me here.
Here, yeah, and again,
Gabriel sent you.
and that's it, and then she'll connect, and
Yeah.
man, you can go from there, and you never know what's going to take off. You never know. I'm getting to do this every day. I get to nourish. I get to go through and plant these seeds and build these connections and do this every single day. And I get to share it. This is the fun part for me is I get to share it with whoever wants to listen, whoever's eyes are within reach. And I love this fact that I get to put this form in front for everybody, and everybody gets the opportunity to take value from it. So thank you,
Well,
Pat.
let's hope the LinkedIn gods, you're welcome, and thank you. And let's hope the LinkedIn gods hear you and they decide to give me my LinkedIn Live account
Yeah.
so I can do this too.
Like,
LinkedIn, do you hear me?
Mary, yes. Look out for Pat. She's coming.
Well, you know what? I'm happy to tithe. I'm happy to tithe my time. I'm happy to share. I'm happy to inspire. And I've got 15,000 followers on LinkedIn right now. And I get messages from people all the time thanking me for just being there. And so I'd like the microphone
Yeah.
that'll enable us to reach that wider audience because I'm a top recommended coach. LinkedIn has a thing called ProFinder. Do you know that?
Yeah.
You send inbound leads. I get
Yeah.
50, 60, 70 leads a day.
Yeah. I've actually taken a few of the LinkedIn courses, and that was one of the things that I was kind of interested when I saw. I said, "Oh wow, check it out! They give you leads.
They hand you every day,
So you can."
dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens. So I get to hear what LinkedIn's audience wants and needs, what real people are saying in their own words
Mm-hmm.
every single day. And so when I decided to do the tithing, I would just show up and take a note from what was like a hot topic or question
Yeah.
that was burning in people's hearts that they needed to hear something to be said about it. And I'd start it and then give them room to
And that's what I.
ask more questions and serve them. And that's what I want to do with my LinkedIn Live. That is my mission and my goal. So I would love to be able to be the voice. And I'm also involved in the Healthcare Businesswomen's Association. So it's all the women in and around health, biotech, pharma, the labs, the front lines, all of it.
Yes.
And they've asked me, I'm happy to be a voice box and help connect because I don't want to just speak to their membership because that's a finite number.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that have been working so hard to help change the world and save people in the pandemic. And I will be a voice for them too, if given that amplification. So I'm hopeful. I
Yeah.
will not give up until it happens
There you
because
go.
I think it's too important not to.
That's the approach I took. I mean, I got to the point where I said, you know what, they're going to be sick of me because I was posting stuff 2, 3, 4 times a day, and I made sure it was stuff that had value. I made sure it was stuff that was a good message, or I found ways to be on other people's live shows.
Yes.
I made those connections, and that was part of the reason behind it because I knew once I got here and had the opportunity that people would start to react and people would take. And again,
They are. My phone's blowing up, so they
yeah.
are.
So thank you guys
It's
again.
a good thing.
So here, check it out, Pat. That's what I tell buddy. This is the fastest hour you're going to do. So here we are. We've been on an hour and 2 minutes, and it goes by
Wow.
so fast because
It does.
the conversation and what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
we just go. And I tell people, look, I tell you it's an hour and you might feel like it's intimidated, but when you're done, I promise you, when we're done talking, you're going to be like, that went by so fast. I didn't even feel like an hour. So guys, thank you again for following along on the show. I do appreciate your time. I do appreciate all the comments and everybody sharing. Guys, if you're not connected with Pat on LinkedIn, go ahead, send her connection request. She will connect. Send her a personal message. Check out her website. Go to www.rockonsuccess.com. And then she also has a Facebook group as well. So you guys can go find her on Facebook and join there. Her message and what she's crafting and what she's sharing with people is something that really needs to be heard. And this was one of the reasons why I'm glad we reached out and connected. So thank you, Pat, for coming on the show. And I will put in a good word and I'll do whatever I have to get you a LinkedIn Live because I think you deserve one. And I think you'd have to put it out there. So thank you very much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same channel. I will be on. This will be a little special episode tomorrow because I will have my mentor on. I've actually been on his show, and I'm going to connect you because I think you have a good message and you would be a good guest on the show. His name is Russ Johns, and Russ Johns does his he does his morning. He does the morning, so he does it at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I think that would be like 10 o'clock your time if you're on the East Coast. So he does a thing called the Pirate Broadcast. I've met so many wonderful people there. That community is awesome. I've had guests on from there come on my show. So I'm going to introduce you to him because I think you would make a really good guest to talk about what you're going to. And again, this is stuff that you'll be able to use to share on LinkedIn when they start asking you for that sort of thing. So I'm going to introduce you afterwards, after the show's over. But again, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, guys, Russ Johns will be my guest. We're going to geek out, talk about live streaming, that sort of thing, kind of just the fun part of what I'm doing. So thank you again, Pat, for the time. I really appreciate it. And guys, thank you again for following along. And I'll drop in in the show notes afterwards when I upload to LinkedIn and YouTube and everything else to go check out her website, all the links and everything that you'll need. And again, Pat, I know we just started this connection, but I already feel instantly connected to you, and it takes a lot to do that with some of my guests. Some of the guests, we just had a free flow conversation, guys. Pretty much,
it was fun. They should go to rockonsuccess.com/connections.
There you go,
That's
guys.
a new thing next week, /connections. How's that?
Yes. So
thank you so much. Have a great night.
I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Be on with Russ Johns. You have a great night. Stay safe. Still practice the good social distancing. Wash your hands. We're all going to get through this alone together, guys. Follow the hashtag. It's there for a reason. Y'all have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
God bless.